cut my hair yesterday.
Cool. Me too. I took all the paint out. Now it's my natural color.
Yeah. My hair is already here, and yesterday I cut it here.
It's nice. Everybody's cutting hair at home now.
Yes. Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hey, guys.
Today we are with Anna. We are trying to talk about how we call our relatives in our own languages. And by the way, we are staying home almost 2 months. How are you feeling? Except doing online courses.
Yeah. So I have been living far away. Should I tell you now how I call them?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to interrupt you. So I have been living away from my family since I was 17 years old. So it's not exactly a new situation to be far away from them. And we don't actually call each other very much, but when we do, we use WhatsApp. And mostly we send messages all day long. So when I see something funny, I will send to them, and they will send to me. I will send pictures of my cats, and they will send pictures of their cats. So that's how we communicate most of the time, actually.
Yeah, and by the way, me too. We also use like WhatsApp, not WhatsApp, sorry, WeChat in China to use this application to talk about. But because in the languages English, like all the grandparents, grandpa, grandfather, grandmother is like. I don't know if in English can distinguish the grandpa from father side and mother side, grandma from mother side or father side, because in English and if we say grandparents, grandpa, grandma, we only these words we know is like we cannot distinguish from father side or mother side. Do you have this calling like? Can distinguish, like separate.
No.
No.
It's similar to English. We just say grandfather and grandmother, and then we add from my mother's side or my father's side. So we don't have the one word for this.
Oh, so you only the same like English, only one word for this.
Yeah, I don't think there is one word. So in Chinese, you have a word for grandfather for each side and grandmother for each side.
Yes, like for example, the grandfather from my father's side, we normally called 爷爷. But my grandson from my father's side, because he said in our ancient, they are from. Because we are in Sichuan province, actually he said that I should call him Agong, but I already used to call him 爷爷. So normally if we say 爷爷, we already know it's from my father's side. And if we say grandfather from my mother's side, we call 外公.
But is this a word that everybody uses, or is something from your family?
No, I think like it's deep. I think it's deep. Depends on the areas. For example, in my province or in my area, we talk normally. In generally, we call our father side. We call 爷爷. The father side called 爷爷, and 奶奶 is grandma and grandpa from father side, and the 外公 and 外婆 is from our mother side. So it's generally we call it like this. So.
In Brazil, sometimes we use words from another language. So because there's a lot of immigrants. So sometimes when you have a German grandpa and grandma, they will tell the grandchild to call them Oma and Opa. That's the word in German. and but I don't have. So my grandma is Polish, and my grandpa from my mother's side is Polish. So I will call them babcia, and but I will not call him Jadek. I don't know why. Only her. So I will call my grandfather in Portuguese and my grandmother in Polish. So it's my father's side is not from Poland, so I will know that my grandma, when I say babcia, is from my mother's side. So, but this is very specific from my family because they are from Poland. So people in Brazil from my generation, they still have grandparents that went to Brazil after Second War. So there was a lot of grandparents that were not Brazilian with grandchild that were Brazilian. So that's how we used to differentiate.
Okay, that's cool. And do you know, but I don't know if that can distinguish in Polish or not, because I know in Polish, like the grandpa is Jadek, grandma is babcia, but I don't know this can distinguish from mother side or father side or not.
So I don't for grandparents, no, but I think there is for they have more distinguished than in Portuguese from Brazil. I guess you can say that is your mother-in-law from and your father-in-law if it's from husband or from wife is different names, I guess. And they have some distinctions that I don't remember very well, but for grandparents, I don't think so.
Okay, and about our relatives, for example, if my father's side, the brothers or sisters of my father, normally my like elder brother of my father, maybe I will call 大伯 sometimes, but I don't have the 大伯. I have second, like my father's younger brother. I call him 二叔. So if I already know it's from my father's side, if my uncle from my mother's side, so I have one, like from my mother's side, because my mother's side I have my mother have one older sister, one younger sister, and one younger brother. So my elder sister, I should call 大娘, 大姨, because in my dialect I call 大娘, but normally in general we should call 大姨. And I'm younger sister of my mother, I called 小姨, 四姨. Because she is the youngest one. Younger brother I call 舅舅, like 三舅舅. So because he is the third children of my grandmother.
Different words for sister and brother, depending if it's older or younger.
Yeah, and also we can already know this word can distinguish from father side or mother side. For example, because I told you if the father side the uncle I call 二叔, and because my father only have one brother, no sisters. So if he has sister, we will call like 姑姑from father side. So we have words can distinguish from father side or mother side the brother.
Is it something related to like I don't know, power or honor? Like, is it being older brother more important than being younger brother, or is just different? It's not more important or less important.
It's just the calling. We can distinguish who is older, who is younger, and we can distinguish how to call them.
Because I guess in some cultures, being the older brother is like you are a second father, so it's like you are a power figure inside the family also. So you say it's you don't have like that.
But But we also can say it's like my uncle is like my second father as well.
Yeah.
And do you have this distinguished calling in your language in Portuguese?
No, we have something that is related to Christian culture that when I don't know if you have similar in China, that's when you have a son, a daughter, when you have a child, you choose someone that can be from your family or just a friend to be his second mother and second father. So if let's say something horrible happened, you and your husband die, they will have this other family and they will call like godfather and godmother because it's like the father and the mother by the eyes of God or something. So you go to the church and you have the ceremony when they are like your second parents. So it's very common these days to choose your sister or one of your brothers to do that. But before it was most common to choose friends. But these days, I guess people feel it's too much responsibility because you're not obligated by law to adopt a child, of course. It's just a religious thing. But you are making this commitment that if something happens, you will treat the children like a child of your own. So sometimes you will give like very expensive presents or pay for studies or help like if it's your own child. So not everybody wants that these days. And so we will have this word that's like godfather and godmother that in Portuguese it's funny. It's like padrinho and madrinha. That is in Portuguese we can translate literally as little father and little mother. So something like that. And some people really have a very close relationship with the godfathers, but I never had. My mother chose some friends and that were married, and they split their marriage and they went away and they to different cities, different towns, and I saw them like twice my whole life. So I don't think they still feel like very connected to me. So it's not a law obligation, but we have that. And apart from that, I don't think we have only one name for sister and brother, that is irmã, irmão. It's very similar, just a different termination. And you use it for older or younger. Everybody is the same way. And we will sometimes, depending of the region of the country, you will use the same word to talk to your friends. You can call your friends brother and sister. And
Yeah, we our friends like brother or sister if we have a good relationship.
yeah, and so sometimes depending in Brazil, people use that like hello. So it does not mean that you are close to the people. It's like just like hi sister. You don't even know the person. So this is, but in another regions, it's a very important word that you say only if you are really blood sister or if that person is really like if she was your sister, super close friend. So it's in different parts of the countries, it can be used in very different ways.
Yeah, sometimes we say like if we meet like the first time meet this or if it's the girl and if this girl is older than me and if I want to respect to show I respect her, so I will call her the name as sister because the sister we call 姐 in Chinese, so we will add her name and add a 姐 end of there. It shows my respect. If the boy older than me, maybe I will add like 哥 to show the respect sometimes.
So if it's like your colleague from school, but from some years in front of you, you can call them that. If you know they are from a class that is like 2 years in front of you, so they are a little bit older, you call them like that?
Yeah, sometimes, yes, we will call it.
This is really interesting. And I was about to ask you something and I forgot. Okay, if I remember, I ask you. And I completely forgot. Sorry.
I was thinking something, but I also forgot what I want to say.
I remember. I wanted to ask if you have this kind of proximity with your family your whole life, or what is like in Chinese culture? If you are still living in China right now, not right now because we have all these epidemic problems, but in a normal situation, does families get together for weekends, for meals, or just like once a year to celebrate a special holiday? How often would you meet your brothers after you are an adult in China?
It depends. I think it depends. If our families we like if, for example, if the family is working in the same city, and sometimes if we are separating, live in the different apartment, but sometimes we will eat together. And in China, we like this. Maybe before several years ago. I think now it's still like that. If the young couple they have children, and normally the grandparents will take care of these children, and the young couple they are working for their.
Yeah, in Brazil it's the same. If you live close to your parents, it's very common the parents help to raise the child or stay with the child when the parents are working. And even every weekend, usually on Sunday, all the family gets together and eats something like some food made by the grandma or something like that. So it's very common to keep in touch all the time, even after your own family. They are talking all the time, meeting. I'm not very much like that with my parents because I have been living by myself for a long time. But we talk very much. We send message and we.
My father always call me and ask, "What are you doing now?" I said, "I'm studying." And then 10 minutes later, "What are you doing now?"
Yeah, I'm not very good in speaking on the phone. I don't know. I always sound like I'm bored. So people usually think like, oh, you don't like to talk to me, and like, no, it's just my voice. So and sometimes I call my parents. We have a fun history because I had this phone operator. We have many phones like companies in Brazil, and so when I was living in another city working, I have this company, and my father have a different company. So he asked me to change to the same company as he had. So because inside the same company we could call each other for free or really cheap. And in the city that I was living, that company was the most expensive. I didn't want to. And in my father's towns, they have better prices. So my father had it. But as my father asked me, I changed to this more expensive company because the calls for him will be free. And after doing all that, I realized that my father doesn't like to talk on the phone and I don't like to talk on the phone. So I did all that. And every time we call each other, it's like 3 minutes call. Like, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? Oh, I'm fine. good weather today. Okay, take care. And that's it. So we are not that kind of family that spend 1 hour. My mother is. My mother sometimes call me and she will be speaking for 1 hour, but she doesn't like to use phone company, so she will call me for WhatsApp, and so she didn't need.
We also call phone call. We use WeChat because the WeChat is everyone use WeChat.
Yeah, especially now living in a different country, it's impossible to call a regular call because that will be super expensive in Brazil. And I don't even know if they do international calls. I never tried for like 10 years to do an actual call to another country from a Brazilian phone company. So we just use internet, and I have to do like a 2 years contract to this different company, and I pay much more, and I never use. So we now we talk about politics because it's a different difficult time for politics in Brazil. We are having trouble with our president, so every time we are asking like, oh, did you see what happened? Did you see we have a minister that just resigned from his office, and it was a big scandal, and he said that he resigned because of the president. He cannot work with the president, and everybody was shocked. So yeah, or sometimes I'm about to cook something and I want to ask my mother some tips. What is her way to cook something that I don't remember exactly? And very trivial stuff. It's like we were living in the same town. We will talk about small stuff and mostly ask if everything is okay, if they are healthy, they are sick, how is everyday life.
That's nice.
And what do you talk with your family when they call you? Apart of telling what are you doing right now?
Normally, if my grandmother, she called me, and she every time she called me, she will just say, "Remember to eat good, to eat better. In the morning, you should remember to eat 1 egg, and remember to eat apple. Remember eat meat and something." And remember to take care of yourself. The most important thing is healthy. Your body health is the most important thing. That whatever else. So yeah. So every time, the first thing he will just say this every time.
Yeah, my mother is also, and she asked me if I'm using a coat, a warm coat in the winter time. Is it cold there? Are you wearing a coat? No, and I like to play with her, and I would say, no, it's snowing, but I will just go out with my blouse, no coat today. And she will say like, no, you should use a coat, it's really cold. And I said, of course I use a coat. And then we will just laugh, but she will call me and ask me the same thing, like, is everything all right? What have you been up to? Are you eating well? Are you healthy? Wealthy? I'm not. And how are the cats? How is my husband? So not much more than that.
Very small things, but a warm heart.
What?
Very small little things to talk, but it's a very warm heart.
Yes. And she likes to show her backyard, the flowers. So
yeah,
it's really nice.
And if my mom, every time, because recently, because in Europe, or American is very serious about the coronavirus. So every time if she talk with me, she will say, "Please don't go out. Don't just stay home." I said, "Yeah, I know."
Yes, I always asking my father and because I know how my mother loved to go around, and she rides a bike, and she's very social. So I asking her all the time, "Are you staying home?" And she says, "Sure." I mean, "Are you sure you're staying home?" And she said, "Oh, I just went out a little bit." And so she always went out a little bit, but they live in a town with not many inhabitants, so she can ride a bike by the beach and not meet anybody on her way. So I just hope that she's taking care of herself, because the pandemic in Brazil is still rising. It haven't reached the peak yet, so I'm really worried about them. And
Your mom is very cute. I still remember.
you remember her? Yeah, she's very active, and she loves. She was doing like exercises and going places. She have a lot of meeting with her friends, and now she does not have it, and she's very sad. Everybody's sad because they cannot meet friends, and it's difficult. It's difficult for everybody. So
Hope we'll get her better
yeah,
soon. The
yeah,
foreign country.
we are doing it. It's going well. I think we can see that it's giving a good result that we are staying home. And how is the situation in China right now about coronavirus?
Oh, it's very good actually. I think since like the beginning of April, it's sort of controlled already very good, and now it's already almost went back to the normal life.
Oh,
They
great.
just masks and go working, and it's regular life now. Just wear the masks, and it's already went back to the regular life. So it's very
And
good situation now.
there is no quarantine anymore in the Wuhan city.
It's already open now because the situation is already controlled very good, and there is no already uh, is almost no increase in numbers, and but we close the border from outside countries because now the increasing number is from other countries, so we're trying to control from here, from there.
Yeah,
So now
will not
it
come
went back
back.
to the yeah, but
Yeah.
we try in China. We try to help the other countries as well, because before the other countries help us, so now we are trying to help help other countries now. This
Okay.
is like who help us and we also help them.
Oh, nice. I hope we get through all this and we go back to normal life soon.
Yeah, hope so. And also, I think the most unselfish people is the medical staff. All of these people are so amazing.
Yeah. Uh, I think we are doing well. Oh, let me call my cat. He's supposed to enter before the sun is down, but he's so invested in chasing a bird in the backyard, and he doesn't want to come back. I have 3 cats, and they all know that 4:30 is the time for food, so they enter at 4:30.
I
And
thought they are so cute.
and they are super cute. And I was so worried because he's never late for food. He loves food.
Yes. Yeah.
So now she finally took his food. He left and she took his food. Oh God. So bye bye.